Welcome to Creative Cooking. Today we're going to make zucchini bread. It's one of my favorites. It's good for the holidays, but it's good any time of year, really. And for it, you will need 2 zucchinis. These are basically small to medium-sized zucchinis. And we're going to process them through a box grater until we have 2 cups. Whatever's left over, you use in another recipe. Never waste anything. Alright, now we're going to have to measure out 1 3/4 cups of sugar. Now, yeah, I went 1 cup and then a half a cup and then a little more. But I'm reasonably sure that I measured out 1 3/4. Not that it matters that much. You can go over or under. This bread is not especially sweet, and it's not supposed to be. And then you need to add your eggs. 3 of them to be exact. And no, you don't have to pre-beat the eggs. You're going to whisk them together with the sugar, and they'll become very well beaten in the process of doing that. Besides, like a lot of things that we make, especially cookies and brownies, we always combine the eggs and the sugar and other things like the vanilla extract. This recipe is no exception, and we're going to use 2 teaspoons. Make sure you use the good stuff. Imitation vanilla, I don't know what that is. It doesn't taste like vanilla to me. So just combine that briefly. Okay, we like to combine all the wet ingredients together, and that's what we're doing here. We're going to add that to the zucchini, all right, and then you just give it a little mix, all right, because we want to pre-mix these ingredients first before we add them to the dry ingredients. And this stuff is absolutely fabulous, I got to tell you. I've been eating this bread since I was a kid, and I never get tired of it. And we have melted butter. That's the best way to do it. Put it in the microwave and then mix that in with your zucchini and sugar and all those good things. All right. And you don't have to go entirely crazy here. It's just that when we pull this all together, it's nice to know that the sugar is already partially dissolved and those ingredients are together. And it has the usual suspects like baking powder and baking soda. And you just whisk all of these dry ingredients together. Of course, we're not done. We have to add some salt. If you're using salted butter, you can omit that. If you are using unsalted, then do add the salt. We're also going to have 3 cups of flour in here, and we have to bring in some other stuff like, cinnamon. 2 teaspoons to be exact. Cinnamon is just one of those warm spices that just belongs in this type of cake, like a carrot cake or anything like that. And we also need some nutmeg. Nutmeg is pretty potent. You only need about a half a teaspoon of that. But that combination of spice, I'll say it again, it just warms the soul. Now mix it all up good. You always want to whisk them together and then add the rest of the ingredients. Okay? And we did it this way on purpose. You don't just throw everything into a bowl. You want to mix this and you want to mix that separately, then you combine them, and you don't want to overwork it. You don't want to develop gluten in that or anything. So these big mixing pans like the one I'm using right now is really useful for this. You've probably seen it 100 times already. It works out great. You just mix it. And now look at the consistency. It's thick. It's very thick, and it's going to get a little bit thicker too, because I have to let it sit while I set up the next shot. But that's okay. Like I said, a lot of the moisture is in the zucchini itself. That's why we didn't add milk or water. And then I have this 4 loaf pan. So it's basically 2 regular sized loaves split up into 4, and I grease them even though they're non-stick. And this is how I like to do it, with a brush with melted butter. Works great. All right. And then we're going to make 1 with walnuts. We're going to make 1 with raisins. And then we're going to make 2 without either, because I actually like the one without nuts and raisins, but you can put whatever you want in there. And then of course we need to portion this out in quarters, so a heaping cup of the batter along with a half a cup of whatever you're putting in, whether it's raisins or you want to use dried cranberries, dried cherries, although dried cranberries would probably be your best bet for this if you wanted to substitute. And you'll notice now that that batter has gotten pretty thick, and that's because the moisture hasn't entirely come out of that zucchini. It won't happen until it bakes. And then as this heats up, The water from the zucchini will be exuded into the batter and it'll be completed. Okay? And then once you fill up your pans, you might have a little bit left over in your mixing bowl. Use that to equalize. You want to keep these all about the same size. And of course, you got to clean up your pan. And then pop it in the oven at 325 degrees for 60 to 65 minutes. Okay? And that's about it. When they come out, you want to check them with a toothpick or something, just like you would any cake. If it comes out clean, you're finished. Don't they look beautiful? So I let them cool off for about 10-15 minutes. I'm cutting some open, but be advised that they slice a lot easier if you put them in the refrigerator for a little while, because they tend to firm up. And this is what it looks like. They're gorgeous and delicious, and they didn't last that long. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back each week for more great videos made for people who like to cook. Until then, bon appetit.